Hello, friends. It's Dave Nitzel again. Thanks for joining me from Barmetrix and the Bar Shift. I'm coming off the road from a couple great days and several different coaching sessions. And there was a conversation that came up a couple different times around discounts that I found to be super interesting. So much so that I even watched a video with a panel of experts from our industry talking about the subject. And I really disagreed with a lot of what I heard. And I've heard it before. There's some interesting narratives that happen in our industry around discounts and what it does for the business. So what I thought I would do is impart some of what I have learned over the years from people much smarter than me around how to think about this sort of thing, and maybe help you in your journey as to should I discount or should I not discount in my business. So my opinion on this is really formed when I was with a company called Office Depot, and I was tagged to be part of a future leadership group when I was in middle management there, and we got to spend one-on-one time with our CEO. And there was only about 15 of us in the group, and it was a really cool experience, especially for a very young manager at the time. And I'll never forget a couple things that he told me. And one of them was, and he started with this, and it's probably why it sticks with me. He said, I've got the answer to every question you'll ever get in business. And I thought, well, isn't that not the secret sauce? This is awesome. And he said, the answer is, it depends. Businesses are in a constant state of flux. So what you're doing today might not be right tomorrow. In effect, the answer to the question depends on what it is you're trying to accomplish. And that's always stuck with me. And I very much operate under that mantra. So let's start with this. We're going to take this discount idea and foursquare it for you in hopes that maybe it helps you get your mind around whether you should or should not be doing discounts in your business. The first in our foursquare, so in the top left, we're going to put doesn't need to discount and doesn't discount, right? This is the holy grail. This is where we all want to be. This is a place where demand outpaces supply, and these companies are usually the biggest and baddest companies, and they've dialed into something special. A good example might be Apple, although even Apple still does some forms of discounts. But when they come out with their new products, demand is going to outpace supply, and you're simply not going to see discounts. In effect, why would you? Something like Tiffany's would fall into this box. I hear bar and restaurant groups and owners fall into this box sometimes, and they talk about, well, we think that doing discounts diminishes our brand. Discounts rarely diminish a brand. What diminishes a brand is bad outcomes. When we don't live up to our promise, when we compromise the value proposition, that's when we do brand damage, not when we discount. I will even go so far as to, if you really want to put your thinking cap on, I'll give you an example of companies where demand outpaces supply and yet they still discount. So I'll try to remember to give you an example of what that looks like at the end. So I'm putting this into a foursquare, but the truth is there's thousands of squares on this deal. In the second square, in the top right, what we're going to put is companies that don't need to discount, but do. So an example of this might be, I recently met with Ritz-Carlton and the Waldorf. And those are two absolutely iconic brands, we would all agree. And of course, they discount for seasonality. Also within those groups, they give free rooms as rewards programs. Recently, a dear friend of mine bought a Porsche, one of an iconic global brand. And it was a new Porsche, not an old one. They didn't need to discount it off the floor. And he got $20,000 off the ticket of the car. He didn't call me and go, hey man, I just got a new Porsche. I'm so excited. And guess what? I think the brand's in trouble. I think I made a mistake because they gave me $20,000 off the price of the car. That's not what he said, right? He was more excited about the car, not less. and the brand's not in trouble because they discounted. So if nothing else, I want to dispel the notion that discounts does brand damage. Not a chance. Wrong way to think about discounts. That doesn't mean you should. It depends, right? In the bottom right quartile, we put businesses that should discount and do. Usually businesses that should discount and do are ones that have more supply than demand, or they're in some sort of launch mode. We'll stick with the car theme. Here's a couple I'd give you. Would be like Kia and Hyundai in the US market. Kia and Hyundai came into the US market as entry-level automobiles, but they delivered on customer confidence and they delivered a higher quality entry-level vehicle. As a result, those customers were willing to grow with Hyundai and Kia. As they elevated their brand, their customers went with them. And now they're building sedans that compete with Mercedes. And if you had said that 15 years ago, no one would have believed you. No one would have thought, oh yeah, I'm going to go buy a Hyundai instead of a Mercedes. Right? But they delivered on their value prop. So sometimes people will say discounting damages a brand such that you can't elevate said brand. Not true again. There's some great evidence. And look, in the automotive space, people are very, very loyal. There are powerhouse brands out there, as evidenced by the discussion we had a minute ago around Porsche. But you can elevate your brand. There's people that even say, look, if you do something for free, then you can't turn around and charge for it. Who remembers when airline baggage was free and now you have to pay for it? But everyone's still bringing baggage onto the airline. So be careful about what you believe in or sort of where you drive a stake, because this stuff is very, very fluid. Now on the left side, in our left quartile, I'm going to put companies that should discount and don't. This is a little bit of my uh-oh. You ever been to a retail store that opened in, say, the mall, and they have some really cool stuff in the store, and there's nobody in it, and you decide to go in and look around because you're interested. The product looks cool. I did this exact same thing happened to me about a couple months ago. I was looking for some athletic gear. I wanted a soccer shirt because Atlanta United had just won the MLS Cup. And I thought, man, I want a soccer shirt. So I'm looking for a cool soccer shirt. And I go into the store that is packed full of athletic gear. And I'm the only one in the store, which that was odd to me. I'm in a really busy mall. I'm the only guy in the store, and they have great stuff. So I'm going through the rack, and I'm looking at these t-shirts. They're dynamite. I look at the price tag, and I'm like, holy, this can't be right. Like, you can't be asking this much for a soccer t-shirt. And so it was a quick eject. I got out of there. And the funny thing that happens is I'm not a big believer in empty retail stores and empty restaurants. There's a lot of inventory sitting there, a lot of money wrapped up there. The lights are on. The rent costs money. There's labor at work. There's marketing dollars at work. All this stuff is in effect, and we are not transacting anything. So empty retail space, empty restaurants, to me, are dangerous. And remember, if you can do things like loss leaders are tried and true for a reason. They do work. There's times when companies and brands need to discount in order to drive revenue into the business. And as long as you deliver on that value prop, you deliver on your customer service expectations, that gives you a jumping off point to grow your business. And maybe you can discount less in the future, or maybe you continue to discount. The point is, be careful in what you believe in. And I would compel you to not subscribe to the idea that discounts damage your brand. There's too many massive examples that disprove that theory. At the same time, we all want to get to that top left square that says, demand is so high we don't have to discount. So let me make good on the example of what happens when demand is outpacing supply and we still discount. And I love this stuff, right? It's like, love this. So you guys, if you've been watching my videos, like and subscribe, by the way. I'm pouring my heart into this thing. So if you've watched my videos before and you saw my Chick-fil-A example as it relates to culture, Chick-fil-A is in a perpetual state of not being able to meet demand, meaning Chick-fil-A is almost never fast food anymore. They are almost fast food because they're so busy it takes 7 to 9 minutes to get your chicken nuggets, waffle fries, and sweet tea. So what they have figured out is they went into the app business. So you go to the Chick-fil-A app, and when you use the Chick-fil-A app, there's tons of incentives in there that give you free product for using the app. What they've realized on the math is that the app gives them a certain level of productivity that pays for that free food. So they are in danger of doing some brand damage by not keeping up with that demand. What they've realized is there's a value to maintaining that demand that they're willing to pay for via technology and changing the way that you go about conducting business with them via the app. So there are even scenarios where demand outpaces supply, and yet we still are trying to discount because strategically it makes sense for the business. So that's the big idea today, folks, is that discounts are very dynamic. One, and the second thing is, please don't buy into the idea that discounts damage your brand. They don't. Our behaviors damage our brands. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. I've enjoyed delivering it. Like and subscribe. We'll catch you next time. Take care, my friends.